Hello and welcome back to the Illuminate Inclusion channel. Lauren and I are talking today about hobbies and interests when you are neurodivergent. And this is the conversation that we started earlier today when we started talking about knitting and stitching and crocheting. So we thought we'd have a quick discussion on the benefits and the pros and cons and some of the challenges and what we can actually learn about ourselves from our hobbies and our interests and how those skills might apply elsewhere in life. So Lauren, do you want to just kick off with what your interests are?
Yeah, so my main special interest is old Hollywood movies. So I collect old movie posters and autographs from the old Hollywood stars. That's my main special interest, and I also knit as well.
Nice. I was just sharing with Lauren as well that I just took up crocheting and I was finding it really relaxing. So I don't think I'd consider myself to have that as a specific hobby yet, but it's definitely something that I'm getting into and learning a new skill with. So Lauren, what have you found of some of the benefits of both hobbies? Like, what do you enjoy about it? What do you get out of it?
With collecting autographs, it's something really simple as like someone's name on a piece of paper, like to many, but to me, it's finding pictures and what's the best picture to have of this Hollywood star, getting it framed, putting the frame on my wall, staring at it, and just having that piece of history. That's my favorite part of it. I smile. It makes me smile. It makes me feel giddy.
I can tell just even by this conversation, like you get so excited about it, and it's really lovely. And I think that's something that for a lot of neurodivergent people, when you find those things that are really highly motivating for you, it really kind of gives that boost of dopamine, and it's something that just brings so much joy. From what you've just said as well, there seems to be a lot of like skill in what you're doing. It's not quite as simple as just collecting it because you have to do a bit of research, check that the autographs are authentic, get them framed to the right size. There's like a whole process involved.
Yeah, so one of my favorite pieces that I have is Singing in the Rain picture, but it's a massive frame with loads of different pictures from the film, and it's got the four main characters' autographs. And so it took me ages to find somebody who was a reliable seller, look into the backstory, fact check on the internet. So their father was a celebrity photographer, so I used obituaries, local news articles to verify it. The lady also sent me pictures that only he had taken, and you could tell. And then I go to a specific company that I go to for years for framing. So we have that discussion of what's going to look best, which pictures are going to look best. And then it's that excitement of waiting a week to see what it looks like. And yeah, it's my favorite thing I've ever bought.
That's really cool. It's really lovely that again, it just brings so much joy. But all those things that you've just mentioned are also like quite important life skills because you're checking things are authentic. You're having to communicate online with someone you don't know. You have to kind of go through layers of problem solving and decision making. And some of those are really useful skills that you maybe don't get in normal like school
Yeah.
life that can be really helpful. I was actually thinking in terms of sort of having started to crochet that, and it's something that we mentioned earlier, that you can sort of you can remember a flow of like a sequence of instructions when they're written down, but you might not remember a set of different instructions that someone gives you. So I don't follow recipes. I don't follow instructions for building anything. If we get flat pack furniture, I just take it out and start trying to work it out. But when it comes to crochet, I'm like looking at the pattern and there's something very different in what I'm looking at that makes it much easier to go, okay, I'm going to follow what it says than for anything else where there's like a set of instructions. And I think there's a different kind of skill in that as well that helps.
Yeah, I think I know with knitting for me is like I don't necessarily love following like the strict instructions like within gauges and like how the tension should be. But I love following the instructions. Like as someone who's autistic, there's like a rigidity to it. You have to do this, this, and this, which is what I love. But I think one of the things that I've learned the most from like special interests is like containment in a way, because I know for me it's very easy to go overboard with a special interest. And I think you learn the skills of like self-control and also like budgeting. I think for someone who's like newly in employment and now having to learn how to budget money when you don't have that taught to you in school, to be able to siphon off a bit of money each month to say, this is for you, this is for your hobby, and sticking within that, I think is one of the biggest skills that I've learned from having a special interest.
I would imagine when you're dealing with things like autographs, there's a need for self-control as well, that some autographs must be worth thousands of pounds, and it's knowing when to go, no, I can't do that, no, I'm not going to do that, I'm not going to do a load of impulse shopping today, I've hit my limit. So exercising some discipline is also really important. That's really helpful. When it comes to things like social interactions, that is something that can be quite difficult for with autism, but also with other neurodivergent profiles. And I wonder whether or not actually being able to share your hobby and have someone else to talk to about it. So like if you joined a knitting group, or if there was like an online group of other people interested in old movie posters as well, would that help? Or do you think it can in some ways be a bit of a hindrance to focus like social communication on your particular interests?
It depends. I think for something like knitting, which is quite popular amongst everyone, it's not unique. If that, let me say, there's like a lot of young people nowadays have got into it because of mindfulness and lockdown. So I think it's quite easy to have that conversation where other friends have picked up crocheting before. So that's an easier way to have a conversation. Whereas old movies is not. None of all my friends turn their nose up to it. So I don't really bring it up in conversations. Like I'll talk to my mum, I'll talk at my mum about it. I mean, she has an appreciation. She introduced me to a lot of these films, but it's like no one really has that kind of interest. And like for me, obviously wary of who you're speaking to online, I don't feel like I would do that personally, but I do find it not isolating because it's my happy place. But it's you can't really you've got to rein it in a little bit because you come across a bit weird. Like I feel like I come across weird, should I say?
So that's actually something that can be a real challenge. So if you were a child at school, or you're just an adult, you want to chat to other people in like the staff room or something, or the kind of the coffee next to the coffee machine. Um, if you don't have that same interest, but there's something that brings you so much joy and you feel like you need to hold it back, I can imagine that is quite a lonely feeling at times. So you can kind of, in order to enjoy your hobby, you feel like you've got to retreat into yourself rather than be part of a social environment at the same time.
Mm. Yeah,
Um,
no, I'd agree. It is you do it's difficult because it's not the norm in a way of like what other people are doing and spending their time doing or buying or spending their money on, and then what you're doing, it makes it a bit different. Like my friends would like to go out and go and do things, but I like, oh, can we sit and watch a film? Like I'm so happy to spend all day just sitting and watching a film. So
yeah.
it makes it a bit difficult.
I suppose it's just finding that balance and understanding with hobbies that there can be so many benefits to it, but actually it doesn't necessarily make everything in life easier. What do you think you learn about yourself? Because I actually found from crocheting that I was like, oh, I didn't realize that I could remember this many different things going on at once. Or like I always know I can leave it for 3 or 4 days and come back and remember which part of the stitching pattern I was up to. And I was like, oh, that's a good skill. But I'm also aware that there are lots of things that probably find a bit more difficult. Like if I make a mistake and I can see it doesn't look quite right, how do I fix it? And when do I get frustrated and go like, oh no, I don't want to deal with this anymore. I'm just putting all the crochet stuff down and then I'm not looking at it for weeks because it's just too much effort. Are there things that you think you've learned about yourself from your hobbies?
Yeah, I definitely learned with like knitting, it is like so easy to get frustrated when things don't work out your way. And I know that certain parts of knitting make me feel uncomfortable, like when I have to sew in the loose ends, like it makes me itchy, like in my head, and I don't feel comfortable. But like today, I've picked up a project that I put down 5 months ago, and I just fell back into the swing of it again. Um, yeah, I've learned that. I just also learned that like little things make me happy. Like it is as silly as a piece of paper with someone's name on it and a picture that makes you like so happy. And it's what I've learned. Or like I'll remember really weird facts with movies. So like one person was in this one film, and then I can link it back and just play a game of like this person was in this and they were in that, and that was directed by this, and that came out in this one. And I correct people if someone was like, this actor was in this film. It's like, no, he wasn't. And I know it and I remember it. And like it's like there. And I remember lines from films because I rewatch films all over again. I can tell you probably the entire script from A League of Their Own from 1992, and probably most of Lindsay Lohan's Parent Trap I found out the other day. It, but it's like I can't remember anything that I used to do at school, and having to like revise and absorb information, I would never be able to do it. But that, it's just there.
So I think it does go to show that actually, when you have hobbies and you embrace hobbies, it can give you a whole different side of somebody. It can show them at their best. It can give their skills. And if we can almost focus our lives sometimes around the things that we enjoy, there's a lot more success that we can achieve through engaging in those things that are really motivating for us. Thank you for sharing those thoughts. And this has just been a really nice, short kind of just whistle-stop tour of hobbies and embracing your hobbies and finding ways to kind of use those skills as well. So I hope you found it interesting. I would always encourage everybody to go and try something and see if there's a new hobby that they find relaxing and they find enjoyable and just brings you those moments of joy as well. And we look forward to seeing you again soon.